Hey, this is Rachel, and I'm here to do my July wrap-up. Overall, July was okay. I did go on vacation, and I had a lot of free time, so I kind of wish I'd read more, but I read 9 things, so I'm okay with that. That's a pretty good number. I'm hoping to do a little bit better in August, but, you know, overall I did well. There was also the Booktubeathon, which really helped me get quite a few books in, and yeah, overall, a pretty good reading month. I think typically the things I read were, you know, actually they were pretty diverse. I had a few that I really didn't like, I had a few that I really did like, and a few that were kind of so let's jump into them. First up was a reread for me. That was The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 1, The Faust Act, and this is about every so many years, these gods come back and take over these teenage bodies, and they're like rock stars, basically, and it's a very unique idea. It's very interesting, and they don't really tell you everything. There's a lot of things you have to kind of connect or guess at yourself, which I do like, but it does make it a little confusing at times. I did find that this reread was a little bit easier since I knew what was happening. And I reread this in anticipation of reading the second and the third volumes, which I have out from the library for hopefully August. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read a new 2016 release, which is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This story follows a couple who are going on kind of a small road trip to meet the boys' parents at their farmhouse kind of out in the country. And a lot of the novel takes place in the car. There is obviously the interaction at the house while they have dinner and then on the way home. And things just keep getting weirder and weirder as the night goes on. And they end up at this abandoned school, and the boy has disappeared and the girl needs to go in after him. And this was such a weird book. I wouldn't say I knew what was coming, but you can tell from the beginning that something is not straightforward in the book. Like, you know something's coming, but I don't think you can tell what it is. And I really liked the tie-in, like with the title and how things started when you got to the end. Like, it all made sense and you kind of look at things in a new light, and I really liked that aspect. However, there were some parts that were just really weird and some things that I just had, you know, trouble taking in as a reader. So I gave this one 2.5 stars. It was short though, so if you're looking for kind of an interesting read to maybe discuss, this might be a good one. But if you're looking for a really easy to follow mystery, this is not for you. So keep that in mind. But again, I gave it 2.5 stars. Very weird. Next up was another reread. This was Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. This is the first book in the True Blood series. I read the first one and the second one and then kind of let them go by the wayside for a while. And then I was able to get the entire set in the series at a used book sale for like next to nothing. So I decided I wanted to jump back in, and I wanted to start from the beginning, so I was fresh to go through all the books. So I reread this first one, and I think I liked it better this time. I'm not sure why. I think, though, that I watched the show first, and then I read this book, and it was kind of disappointing because it was, I mean, the storyline's the same, but I just feel like the characters kind of give you a different vibe in the book. But this time I enjoyed it. And if you're unfamiliar with the True Blood series, basically it follows a girl who meets a vampire. They are quote-unquote out of the coffin, meaning they're out in the open and people know about them. And it's kind of her adventures in this small town in Louisiana after she's met this very, very old vampire. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm looking forward to reading the second one, and again, the second one will also be a reread, then the third one will be the new one in the series for me. Next up, I picked up Joe Nesbo's The Bat, which is the first book in his detective series with the Inspector Harry, and I'm not even going to try to say his last name. It looks like Hole, but I think it's like, it's Norwegian, so it's probably like Hole, or I don't even know. We're gonna just ignore that. But I picked this up with my mom. This was our buddy read this month, and it's marketed because Joe Nesbo is Norwegian, kind of the Scandinavian murder mystery. Of course, it gets connected with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and it was not like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That's kind of what I was expecting, so I think that's maybe why I didn't quite enjoy this book as much. But you know, it's a crime novel, and it's very interesting because the detective is Norwegian, but he's in Australia for this entire book. So it's kind of weird, but you get a nice little trip around some of Australia, and it's an interesting detective, and you don't really know who did it. I mean, I feel like you do. I kind of knew who did it, but you go through so many steps in the book where they think it's this person and then it's not. Then they think it's this person and it's not. And then they think it's this person and it's not. And it got a little bit old for me. I feel like they could have cut out, like, at least, like, 50, maybe 100 pages of this book, and it might have been better because you don't go through so many of those, like, false avenues. But overall, I mean, it was a decent mystery, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I probably will read the second one at least to give it a try and see what else. I'd really like to see the detective in his home country of Norway, so I'm interested to see that, but I will definitely give the second one a try. We'll see then if I'm going to keep going with the series. And that was the first book that I read for Booktubeathon. The next book that I read was Breakfast at Tiffanys by Truman Capote. This was not as good as the movie. It just wasn't for me. I gave it 2.5 stars. I really like the movie. I like the movie. It ends better, and I like the main character so much better in the movie. In the book, I just didn't like her. But if you don't know, Breakfast at Tiffanys follows this eccentric woman in New York City, and it's just fabulous. But I would highly recommend the movie. Again, I didn't really enjoy the book that much, but it is super short. It's like 85 pages, so you could do both, but definitely watch the movie with Audrey Hepburn. It's awesome. Next up, also for Booktubeathon, I read Vampires I Have Kissed by Lydia Galt. This is 14 short stories about vampires, and I did enjoy this one. I thought they were just kind of weird and odd, and I just didn't really enjoy it. This was my evening book, so I just barreled through it, and I got through it. I gave it 1 star. I just did not like it, but I am glad I read it because it had been on my shelf for a while. So now I read it, and I can move on with my life. Next up, also for Booktubeathon, I read Nerve by Jean Ryan, and I mostly read this because the movie was coming out, and also because I'd heard about it from Reagan's channel at Peruse Project, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't my favorite book ever, but it was interesting. It was page-turning, and it was such a fast read. I think I read it just as fast as Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is like 85 pages, so it's fast read, it's kind of fun, it's very page-turning, it's a fun read, so I would recommend it if you are interested in it, and I think it looks like it's going to be different from the movie, so I'm interested to see the changes they made to adapt it to the movie form. Next up, for the last book that I read for Booktubeathon was Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates and 1,000 Cocktails by Mike and Dave Stengel. This was mostly a book that I picked up because it's being made into a movie. I was expecting it to follow more along the plot of what it seems the movie's about and what the title would insinuate, which is about them getting dates for this wedding. And if you're unfamiliar, they kind of became famous for going on Craigslist looking for dates to this wedding. And it sounded like a really fun story. All the previews for the movie look funny, so I was hoping for that story, and that's not really what this was. It's kind of just like short little vignettes of their crazy lives together. I mean, these two guys hang out together and just, you know, bro it out, as you'd imagine. Very kind of frat boyish. And they do stupid things, so some of the stories are just kind of irritating because they're like drinking and driving and they're doing stupid things that it's just like, why is anybody supporting this behavior? But some things are really funny. I mean, they are kind of dumb, like with each other, you know, they all act dumb together when all their friends get together, and they're funny stories, but I don't know, it was kind of eh. I gave it 2.5 stars, but I still kind of would like to see the movie, especially since you don't really get much of that story in this book, so yeah. And last up for the month, I picked up Soppy, a Love Story, which is a graphic novel by Philippa Rice, and I just loved this. I thought it was so cute. It's basically just, like I said, a graphic novel that's exploring the development of this relationship, and it's just so cute. I borrowed it as an ebook from my library and immediately ordered it as soon as I finished it because I've got to have this book in my hands. It is so cute. I absolutely loved it. It was probably my favorite book that I read this month. It's just so, so cute. I will definitely be rereading this one. So those are the 9 books that I managed to read this month, and again, I wish I'd read a little bit more, but I'm hoping August will be a good month, but I don't know, it's back to school for me, so who knows what it'll look like. However, I kind of have an announcement for TBR related issues. Now, I have not been making TBR videos lately just because I've been having a hard time sticking to them. However, I think I'm going to try something new. This idea was inspired by Shannon over at Leading Lights. She started this review series where she reads several books, if not all the books, by an author, and then she ranks and reviews them. And I absolutely love that idea. I realized that I don't think I have one author that I've read everything they've written, unless it's like an author that's written one book. Like, that doesn't really count. So I was like, I've got to try this. So I started looking through my shelves, and I realized that there were more than just authors that I wanted to do this with. So I kind of have come up with this idea to do like themes each month. And I'm hoping with each month the theme could be a genre or a concept that's hit on in the books or an author, and then I can read a couple of books fitting into that theme in the month. Then at the end of the month, I can give you reviews on those and hopefully some recommendations on possibly more reads that would tie into those. So I'm kind of excited to try it out. Again, with school starting, I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to do one every month, but I am hoping to kind of get into this. So for August, I decided to do an author, and I picked Casey West. She writes mostly young adult contemporary, and I'm already pretty much through with one of them, and I have all the rest of them from the library, so I'm hoping at the end of the month I can give you a nice Casey West wrap-up, and then next month I think I'm going to pick a topic, and then the next month a theme, and we're going to go from there and see how this works out. So let me know down below if you would be interested in seeing some of these videos. I'm excited about the idea, and if you haven't yet, go check out Shannon's channel, especially the ranked and review things. I absolutely love those, but her channel is just amazing, so definitely go check her out as well. And that's all I have today, so thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you. You can follow me on social media like Goodreads, Twitter, and Instagram at Rachel Fryman. And thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again with another video soon. Bye for now.